Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we begin, let me introduce our group first. Our group have 5 members, which is Aisyah, Hikmah, Ridwana, Wafa, and me. Okay, for our group, we will present about the application of Qard Al-Hassan contract based on saving account at Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Before we discuss about the topic, let me tell you about the history of Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Okay, Malaysia was the first country to introduce the Islamic banking system in Southeast Asia. When is it? The first Islamic bank was established in Malaysia, and it was Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad in year 1983 with a branch in Kuala Lumpur. And why? It is made for Muslims to make money transaction or save money by using Sharia compliance. Where it is the same with the motto of Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, that is to carry out interest-free or as long as riba from the banking and financial transaction. Next, the contract that offered by Bank Islam is Wadi'ah, Mudorobah, Baik Bisa dan Ajil, Kafalah, Wakalah, and the last one is Qard Al-Hassan. Now, for the research objectives, which is what we want to highlight in this topic, is first, we want to identify Qard Al-Hassan, which is the concept of it. And the second one is, we want to study Qard Al-Hassan contract based on saving account at Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. Now, we will move to the concept of Qard Al-Hassan. Firstly, we have to know about the definition of Qard Al-Hassan. Firstly, in Wikipedia, it stated that Qard Al-Hassan was from Arabic word, which means benevolent lending. In terms of language, there are many meanings that have been given, which is to have something by returning its replacement, or the amount of property given by the creditor to the debtor should be refunded to the original amount. In Dewan Bahasa, there are two meanings, which is first, money and others borrowed from others. And the second one is obligation to repay something received. In terms of terminology, Qard Al-Hassan means a contract that transfers the property of the owner debt to the debtor on a sum of money. And when it's reached the period of payment, the debtor obligated to repay the amount as the original amount of the loan. Next are Qard according to scholars. Okay, first, Hanafi scholars define as a loan which is the customer need to pay back with the same property. But for Maliki scholars, Qard defined as a loan that is solely to obtain benefits. While Shafi'i scholars define it the same as Hanafi scholars. And the last one is Hanbali scholars. It is defined as an agreement that made by a creditor to borrower, which is the borrower promising to retain the replacement goods.
Objectives of Qard Al-Hassan. First is to assist those who are in need. Second, to improve ties between the affluent and the poor. Third, the distribution of wealth among all members of the community. Fourth, to do a good deed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His messengers encourage and admire. Fifth, to boost the country's economy development. Sixth, assisting the underprivileged in creating new employment markets and commercial initiatives by using their merits, talents, and knowledge. Seventh, to create a caring community. Eighth, to eliminate poverty and unemployment from society. Ninth, it may also be a missionary effort for da'wah operations by providing Qard Al-Hassan to non-Muslims who may be enticed by learning about the beauty of Islam. 10th, it has the potential to eliminate social and economic discriminatory treatment. And lastly, there is certainly a large recompense in the hereafter for donating Qard Al-Hassan. All of those are the main objectives of Qard Al-Hassan, which also shows the reason why it should be applied in our community. It provides lots of benefits towards the community, at the same time provide convenience due to its implementation. Let's move on to Qard Al-Hassan characteristics. First, Qard Al-Hassan is a loan, not a grant or assistance. Disagreements in the interpretation or perception of the concept of Qard Al-Hassan are common. Qard Al-Hassan is a type of virtue that lends to others. Lenders are obligated to refund in accordance with the terms of the agreement. This idea must be extensively shared particularly among government and CSR implementers. These two parties are used to offering support, grants, or the like to carry out the vision mission of programs tasks. The main conclusion is the need to improve Qard Al-Hassan institutional implementation, including the development and allocation of positions to manage loan repayments. Second, strengthening groups. The Qard Al-Hassan initiative aims to boost productivity and empower small and micro companies. Because there are so many of them, management in groups is used efficiently in a variety of situations. Islamic microfinance organizations have the capacity to generate social capital. This might boost the purpose and conduct of the borrower to boost their commitment to repay their debt. Group strengthening can be a program suggestion, and groups can be viewed as collaborators in the implementation of poverty alleviation initiatives. As a result, attempts to strengthen organizations become increasingly vital to a variety of means. Third, beneficial contract between two parties. So, contract Qard Al-Hassan is a type of mutually beneficial contract between two parties, which is one party serves as the owner of capital and entrusts a set amount of capital to the second party to handle. Members oversee all business activity, which is mudarik. Scholars have acknowledged that all card is permissible. The scholar's majority opinion is founded on a human nature which cannot exist without the cooperation and help of the others. Nobody has the items that they require. As a result, borrowing is now a part of everybody's daily life. Islam is a religion that is concerned with all its followers' needs. Fourth, Qard al-Hassan is also one of the defining features of Islamic banks as opposed to regular banks, as it included a social goal in contrast to a business objective. Next, references to Qard al-Hassan in Al-Quran. Allah sets a high value on Qard al-Hassan in the Quran, as evidenced by the several verses summarized by Hossein, Samir, and Abba, 2008, which state, whenever an individual loans Qard al-Hassan to those who need it without anticipating a return beyond the principal, yet the responsibility is still owed to the debtor, meaning the borrower, to repay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees a reward multiple times the amount and will obtain Ibn Karim, a rich compensation beyond conception. Next, furthermore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will undoubtedly eliminate the lender's sins, give forgiveness, and pledges that the lender will achieve heaven. Qard al-Hassan appears to be distinct from sadaqah, which means charity or donation, and zakat. Moreover, Allah Almighty emphasizes the significance of Qard al-Hassan in passages where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares it to the obligatory salah and zakat. The riba factor is not engaged because just principal payments are required. Next, the continuation of Qard al-Hassan's advantages does not stay in this world only, but also in the afterlife. The Quran provides a compelling reason to support Qard al-Hassan. It is also claimed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His messages all through the Quran urges Muslims to support their Muslim relatives. Qard al-Hassan refers to the metaphoric transaction among both Allah Almighty and the followers, which is Muslims, mainly in terms of Muslims who granted only in Allah's pathway. Now, let's take a look at the references to Qard al-Hassan in Hadith. Ahmad bin Zainal Abidin, 2011, stated that Farouk, 2008, mentioned regarding Qard al-Hassan based on the second main source, which is Hadith. According to 9 sources of Hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Muwatta, Musnad Ahmad, and Darimi, the word Qard al-Hassan somehow doesn't present in any hadith, like it does in the Quran. In hadith, Qard is simply referred to as Qard, with no extra term formalized paraphrase of Hassan, but as indicated in Ahmad bin Zainal Abidin 2011 from Antonio 1999 stated that there seems to be one narration of hadith by Ibn Majah, Ibn Hibban, and Baihaqi where it is strongly encourages Muslim people to donate anything of their own to fellow Muslims.
Next, the flow of Qard Al-Hassan. Qard Al-Hassan is kind of free loan given to people in need for a fixed period without any interest or profit payments. Each recipient of Qard Al-Hassan is only required to repay the original amount borrowed, which in practice Qard Al-Hassan is only used for short-term connector funding and social welfare only. Next, the law of Al-Quran and As-SUNNAH perspective. First, Al-Quran. Based on the above verse, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala calls, recommends and commands the believers to give good loans to fellow human beings, especially to those who need help, and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala also wants to encourage Muslims to be more willing to perform alms on His way. Allah has decreed that whoever lends to Allah with good loan in the form of charity or charity to others, then Allah will return it with multiplied amount for Himself. Not only that, but Allah will also bestow a reward that is multiplied and glorious in the sight of Allah. Second, hadith. What is mean based on the above hadith is to take someone else's property by way of debt and have the intention to return it. Then Allah will make it easy for him to settle those debts. Whereas if the property is taken with the intention of spending it, then Allah will complicate all affairs and desires for Himself in this world. Next, there are 4 pillars of Qard Al-Hassan. First is lender. Lenders here refer to those who have a property and issue their property to be lent to others who need the property. There must be a person of poverty can manage the property and not consist of crazy people. Not only that, every management carried out by this lender must be done voluntarily if there is no question from any party. The second is the borrower. Borrowers here refer to those who borrow money, goods or property from someone who has the goods desired by the borrower of those goods, which they must be people who have reached puberty, are sane and able to repay the loan that they made. Third is fine. The majority of scholars have been of the view that all goods are valid for sale and purchase as good of Qard Al-Hassan, but it becomes invalid if you borrow the benefits of the goods, like taking care of a house with the hope that one day the house will also be taken care of by the person who owned the house. The fourth is handover. Handover means giving debt and receiving debt. It must be done clearly and vividly. For example, A says to B, I lend you RM 100 ringgit and you have to repay the same price. B says, I accept. Okay, next, the source of Qard Al-Hassan funds in Islamic banking. The source of funds used to fund Qard Al-Hassan are usually sourced from the following. First, bank capital. The capital here is the funds submitted by the loan owner. After calculating the profit earned at the end of the loan repayment period, the owner of this capital will receive a share of the proceeds from the dividend. Second, zakat, infak, waqaf and alms. Islamic banking stipulates the obligation to perform zakat for every profit earned in Islamic-based bank. And besides that, Islamic banks as Islamic financial institution have become a money agency to collect waqaf, infak and alms to be distributed to those in need. Okay, the third is wadi'ah. There are 2 forms of wadi'ah implemented in the financing of Qard Al-Hassan. Among them are as follows. First, wadi'ah jariyah. Wadi'ah jariyah here is a form of savings that can be taken at any time if needed. Second, wadi'ah tahta talab. Wadi'ah tahta talab is a deposit that can be taken at any time that has been agreed upon by the bank and the customer.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ridana Binti Roslan. Today I want to present to you about Qard Al-Hassan product offering in Malaysia. Now, let we see the Qard Al-Hassan in loans or financing. Qard Al-Hassan is a good loans and it is a manifestation of a person concerned to do charity by helping his relatives who are in a tight spot. Therefore, the borrower only has to repay the amount borrowed without interest. Numerous Malaysian financial organizations and cooperatives provide financial lending plans to go Haji or Umrah based on the ideas of Qard Al-Hassan. According to the Muzakarah of the National Fatwa Committee for Islamic Religious Affairs Malaysia 2005, a person should incur debt to undertake Haji or Umrah if he is expected to be able to repay the loan debt and it does not interfere with his normal life. Next, Qard Al-Hassan in Islamic mortgage. The loan amount is determined by the current gold price and the percentage of the loan limit set by the Al-Rahnu institution. Typically, the loan amount allowed is around 50% to 70% from the price of the mortgage item according to the current value of gold. The pledgor will take the pledged asset and pay the loan amount as well as the cost of the saving wave after the debt reaches maturity. If they do not take the pledged asset after the maturity period has expired, the pledgee has the right to sell the pledged asset in an open and fair auction. State Qard Al-Hassan in contract collection product. There are several financial instruments that involve a set of contracts such as derivative financial instruments that produce deposit product based on a set of Mudarabah and Qard Al-Hassan contracts. An Islamic financial institution recommends a deposit product based on a set of Mudarabah and Qard Al-Hassan contract by setting a Mudarabah rate of 60% and Qard Al-Hassan 40%. From the time the account is opened until it is closed, the ratio between the two contracts will remain constant. Each withdrawal from the account will reflect 60% of the Mudarabah funds share and 40% of the Qard Al-Hassan funds share. Lastly, Qard Al-Hassan in Sukuk products. Among ASEAN countries, Malaysia is a country with a strategic position. Therefore, it has contributed to the rapid increase in the size of the capital market due to having complete institutional ownership and a well-organized Sharia governance ecosystem. At the international level, Sukuk based on the Buy Bisamin Ajil principle worth RM125 million was issued by Shell MDS Sdn Bhd in 1990 to finance the construction of its distillery. Since then, the popularity of Sukuk involving multinational companies has continued to increase. Next, the issue of Qard Al-Hassan. Qard Al-Hassan-based products are less offered by Islamic banking due to its high financing risk without any repayment guarantee. Islamic banking institutions will have difficulty in recovering their financing funds, thus increasing the non-performing loan (NPL) rate. NPL that exceed the 8.5% tolerance rate as set by Bank Negara will affect the survival of a bank. This is because this NPL rate determines the level of stability of a bank. Next, there is a popular view that the Qard Al-Hassan loan is not required because it is a form of welfare support. State that any financial loan must be written such that the original goal of the loan is to satisfy the individual's financial requirements. If society continues to believe that these loans do not need to be written, Islamic banking's capacity to assist persons in need will be impeded. Next, related to the problem of bank imposing extra costs on Al-Hassan. As we know, it is an interest-free loan. This implies that the borrower is not charged any additional fees when repaying his debt. However, the implementation of Qard Al-Hassan today is its original goal since it has been designed as one of the financial products aimed at generating profit for the bank. The bank has imposed a management charge or service charge to justify the profit taking. This behavior appears to be in violation of Sharia standard about Qard Al-Hassan. However, according to Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions (AAOIFI), banks are allowed to impose such service charge or management charge on expenses related to Qard Al-Hassan as long as they do not exceed the cost of the original expenses of Qard Al-Hassan. That's all for me. Thank you.
And now we go to Qard Al-Hassan based on saving account at Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad BIMB. That is Qard Al-Hassan based on saving account at Bank Islam. Qard saving account, or we call QSA, refers to the bank's product based on the Qard Sharia contract. This means a Qard contract is a contract in which a lender lends money to a borrower and the latter agrees to repay the lender an identical replacement amount. The customer agrees to allow Bank Islam to deal with all or part of any balance in the account as stipulated by Bank Islam under the Qard contract. So this means any profit made by Bank Islam as a result of the funds utilization will be owned by Bank Islam. Next, the advantage of Qard Al-Hassan in saving account. As we know, Bank Islam provides Qard saving account service to help you save the money. Based on the Qard contract, there are several benefits that I found. such as free saving passbook. This means if the passbook is damaged or faded, or the passbook has been lost or destroyed, Bank Islam will replace with a new one over the passbook. And if the passbook has been lost or destroyed, the customer must immediately notify the Bank Islam in writing, and the Bank Islam will replace the new one. The second benefits is bank card facilities, and the third one is salary crediting and sweeping facilities. Next, standing instruction facility, and next, Bank Islam will reward like hibah to the customer who has an account under the card contract, which means hibah may be given monthly based on the bank's discretion. And not only that, Bank Islam will not disclose the customer's data, including the address, telephone number, or email address to any outside party. Other than that, party list below authorized parties, other than for the purpose related to handling customer's account, unless the Bank Islam obtains permission from the customer himself. In conclusion, Qard Al-Hassan is a good loan and suitable to apply for this contemporary use. However, in this case, it can be compared to a personal loan of a conventional nature. Although Islam requires its people to borrow or make financial loans, such action should not be made a practice or culture except in this situation. As we know, Muslims are encouraged to live modestly and be grateful for the blessing bestowed by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala on their efforts. Based on the code contract, can conclude this facility give you hassle-free savings and easy production access when needed. And it also has many benefits and advantage derived from this saving account. And you know what? BIDM can cover up to 250,000 ringgit Malaysia for each depositor.